also going to be recording. Okay, very good. So we're delighted to have you here with us this afternoon, and a warm welcome to our guest presenter, Unity Minister Jackie Hawkins, whom we will introduce formally in a few minutes. So this MLK Celebration 2022, we're dedicating to our dear friend, memory, Bonnie Glover, who, as many of you know, many of you at Unity, and I'm sorry, I do have a few people that I'm admitting, so please bear with me for 1 second, who, as many of you know, was actually the catalyst for this program. She was definitely the driver, continues to be the inspiration for us to doing what we're doing here today. So we're very thankful for that. On a personal note, Bonnie got me involved about a year ago this time when she mentioned we were also Unity, I'm a Unity board member, Bonnie was at that time. And she said, Pam, I want you to be involved. I want you to be on our committee for 2022. So those of you who know Bonnie know that when she speaks, people listen, right? So we are very, very happy to dedicate the series of events that we have this weekend to her memory. And just so you know, this is our kickoff event. So we're particularly happy that we can now say that we have our dear friend, Craig Glover, Bonnie's husband, who will lead us in the opening prayer. And again, this is the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And Craig, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Pamela. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, Unity, family, and friends. Glad to see you all. And thank you for honoring Dr. King and recognizing Bonnie this weekend. Thanks as well for your love, prayers, and support to lift our sons, Matt and Ben, and myself over these past few months. It's greatly appreciated. I found a prayer that felt like Bonnie to me, and I'm going to share it now. Dear Mother, Father, God, please fill our hearts with compassion and inspire us towards random acts of kindness. Grant us the wisdom to understand right and wrong so that we can do justice with our lives. Let us create a space around us where people can find harmony and where we treat each other with compassion and kindness. Amen. Bonnie exuded compassion and kindness. During her time on this physical plane, and when I hear her today, she often reminds me to be more generous in the moment, give more, offer more chances, be more kind, be more loving, see the best in difficult people and difficult situations. Dr. King said, and I quote, I have decided to love. If you are seeking the highest good, I think you can find it through love. And the beautiful thing is that we are moving against wrong when we do it, because John was right. God is love. He who hates does not know God, but he who loves has the key that unlocks the door to the meaning of ultimate reality. Bonnie aspired to live in that ultimate reality. She overcame many, many challenges and injustices that come with being a Black woman in America. She chose to unlock and build a loving life, family, friendships, and community. Bonnie demonstrated forgiveness and acceptance in her relationships over and over and over again. Bonnie loved Unity and each of you, and I thank you so much for recognizing her today and this weekend. Thank you so much. God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Craig. That was just beautiful. What a perfect way to set the stage for what we have coming on. So thank you so, so much. We appreciate it. And just 1 second, I have more people coming in. And while we're entering a few people, I'd like to introduce our committee. Ahimsa Tibot is she's the chair of our committee, but unfortunately she cannot be with us this morning due to some family illnesses that she's taking care of. And Saritha Colbert, Barbara Walker, Diane Bruce, and myself. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Saritha to introduce Reverend Hawkins.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Saritha Colbert, and it is my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker for today, Reverend Jackie Hawkins. Reverend Jackie Hawkins graduated from Unity Institute and Seminary with a master's degree in divinity and was ordained in 2013. She was a senior minister at Unity of the Heartland in Olathe, Kansas until 2018. In June of 2019, Reverend Jackie was elected to serve a 4-year term on the leadership recruitment and development team for Unity Worldwide Ministries. She also serves on UWM's credentialing team. She enjoys guest speaking at Unity churches, writing for Unity publications, and lending her prayer consciousness in various ways with the Silent Unity Prayer Ministry. She now resides in San Marcos, California. Please welcome Reverend Jackie Hawkins.
Thank you, Sarita. And good morning and good afternoon, everyone. It is so good to see everyone here, the faces that I recall, the faces that I know, some of whom I have not seen for many years. And welcome to this celebration of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. I will be speaking for about 15 or 20 minutes, and then I will open it up to conversation. That is what the committee asked me to do, and I know how to follow directions. So here we go. I'd just like to start by saying that I first met Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in the fall of 1967. The occasion was the installation of new members at Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta, Georgia. I was a 17-year-old freshman at Spelman College, and I was in attendance because I too was a new member of Ebenezer Baptist Church. And Dr. King always made it a point, regardless of what his travel schedule was, he always made it a point to get back to Atlanta and Ebenezer Baptist Church to welcome in the new members. And so he gave us the right hand of fellowship. As many of you who may be Baptist know, that the right hand of fellowship is something that is always done when new members come into the fold. But earlier in that year, 1967, Dr. King had his 4th book published. And the title of that book was, Where Do We Go From Here? Chaos or Community? Now, Dr. King nor anyone else knew that that would be his final book that he would write. But he was such an amazing communicator, as I'm sure you all know. I would say that one of his greatest spiritual gifts was communication. Communication in the form of writing, communication in the form of his oratory. And his communication was so profound, so convincing, that he was able to change the people's hearts and minds. One of the things that he said, and I quote, was, "Nonviolence means avoiding not only external physical violence, but also internal violence of the spirit." In saying that, in promoting that, he was able to change people's hearts and minds. He believed that. And when I will ask you the question, when you say you are nonviolent, do you include refusing to hate another? Well, Dr. King meant that. He taught that. He lived by Jesus's teachings of loving one another, Love your brother as yourself. Love your sister as yourself. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. And in his final book, he provided an analysis of where we were as a country in 1967. And his analysis was in terms of race relations, economic distributions, education, housing, and certainly voting rights. He began the first chapter of that book by saying that we were at a point of self-examination and self-reflection. And my friends, today I would say that we are at a point of self-examination and self-reflection in our country. Not only because it is the beginning of a new year, the beginning of 2022, but it's more than that. It's because we're at a point of evolution in our country. And in this point, at this time, we must stop. We must stop and pause and breathe. So breathe with me now, my friends, deeply. Stop, pause, breathe. The words of Dr. King in 1967 touched me profoundly and deeply. And arguably, it touched every African-American in this country, every person, in fact, in this country who had at any point felt unheard, unseen, unwanted, unappreciated. So in this moment, and on this day that we honor Dr. King, we take a breath. We take a breath and breathe into the knowing that even when things appear to be at their darkest, we have evidence that we can overcome. Even when laws prevent us from eating at restaurants, even when laws prevent us from sleeping at a hotel, even when laws prevent us from marrying the ones that we love, even when laws prevent us from voting, change things. So let's take another breath. When life, the outer world, seems utterly outer, to paraphrase Howard Thurman, let us remember our multidimensional oneness. Let us breathe into our inner sanctuary and realize there is only one presence and one power operating in this universe. And we are one with that presence, with that power. And so each of you in this moment, I invite you to affirm that. There is only one presence and one power operating in this universe, and I am one with that power. Friends, when we allow ourselves to pause and to acknowledge the workings of spirit, we are able to have clarity. We are able to have clarity in the midst of chaos. So the question posed by Dr. King in 1967, where do we go from here, chaos or community, is the same question that we are being called to answer today. In the midst of what appears to be chaos, which includes the global pandemic, the social and political divisiveness, the economic uncertainties, the continuing warring all across the globe, we are being called to stop, to pause, to breathe, and to listen to our divine guidance for clarity in where we are to go and what we are to do. Just about this time last year, the amazing, talented, former Youth Poet Laureate, Amanda Gorman, I believe, was answering the question that Martin Luther King posed. At the presidential inauguration, when she performed her beautiful poem, The Hill We Climb, she said in part, and I quote, "In this truth, in this faith, we trust. While once we asked, how can we possibly prevail over catastrophe? Now we assert, how could catastrophe possibly prevail over us? In the breath, in the holy wisdom of spirit, we seek and we find the answers. We trust through the power of our faith. We see through our ability to access our divine power of imagination. And we act. We enlist our unity principle, the fifth principle that states, knowing and understanding the laws of life, also called truth, is not enough. We must live the truth that we know. But let's be honest, my friends, let's be honest with ourselves and with each other. It can be easy to drift into a feeling of despair when we witness actions of violence and greed, indifference to the suffering of our children and our elders and the planet. Which is why I believe we have the breath. The breath is life. And as long as we have life, we have the capacity to reset.
I've just remuted everyone, so hopefully that would take care. Sorry about that.
Jackie, you are muted right
Jackie, you're
now.
muted. You have to unmute again.
Sorry.
Yeah, we just had some new people join us. Here we go.
Okay,
You're
no
perfect.
problem. I'd like to share with you right now a poem by Hafiz. And I believe this poem speaks to specifically what I am this. I sometimes forget that I was created for joy. My mind is too busy. My heart is too heavy for me to remember that I have been called to dance, the sacred dance of life. I was created to smile, to love, to be lifted up, and to lift others up Oh, sacred one, untangle my feet from all that ensnares, free my soul, that we might dance, and that our dancing might be contagious. We, my friends, are here to remind each other that we were created to dance. We were created for joy, as Desmond Tutu would always say. We were created to love and to uplift. We were created to continue to create a world that works for all, not just some, but for all. That was Dr. King's message. That was how he lived. That was what he always promoted and preached and taught. We were created to give birth to a greater reality, a reality for ourselves and for our children. And our children are created to birth a greater reality for their children and for the future of this planet, because we are inextricably tied to the planet as well as to each other. In his book, Birthing a Greater Reality, my dear teacher, Reverend Robert Brummett, said this: our work is to bring the kingdom of heaven into the busy city, into the marketplace of human desires, and to live in the serenity of oneness amidst the warring factions of the human mind and heart. In this way, we give birth to a greater reality, a reality based on love and unity, rather than on fear and separation, end of quote. And so, my friends, in honor of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, and in acknowledgement of the many great works by individuals and organizations that are also answering the call and answering the question, where do we go from here? I celebrate with you this holiday. All of us are being called to live as one. We're being called to remember, to reflect, to reset by pausing and breathing and listening to our sacred guidance. And then we are to act from that sacred space of love. And so in closing, let us remember what our dear leader and my former minister, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, said: faith is taking the first step, even when you don't see the whole staircase. Thank you, my friends, for inviting me. And now I open the session up to discussion, questions, comments, your experience in working with and listening to and working on behalf of the beloved community.
Thank you, Reverend Jackie. Now, questions? And yes, definitely a round of applause. You can do a silent applause. And if you have any questions or any comments for Reverend Jackie, could you please unmute yourselves and go for it? There were so many nuggets. I wish you didn't have to stop, because this was so impactful as far as I'm concerned. It was awesome. So any questions or thoughts to share? We have about 10 minutes to interact. No one?
Well,
Well, I'll
I-
start.
okay.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead, Ruth. Go ahead.
No, go, you're our guest, Margaret. Go ahead.
Okay. I just want to thank you, Jackie. That was so powerful. And I loved how you weaved the teachings of Martin Luther King and Jesus and unity all together. It was a really perfect talk, and I was very moved by it. So thank you so much.
You're welcome, Margaret.
Absolutely, Margaret. That's a perfect summation of it. Anyone else? Well, Reverend Jackie, I'm going to tell you the first among the many nuggets that I jotted down. I just underlined this one. We are at a time of self-reflection, self-examination, and self-reflection. And that really encapsulates exactly what we're doing today. So I wish the world could hear your message. And of course, the message that we get from Reverend Taylor every Sunday. But how do you, just give us your thoughts about how we can actually help spread the word, because there's so many things to examine and reflect on in these days.
Well, as I indicated, it's going to be different for every person, which is the reason why I said during this time of self-examination and self-reflection, we must pause and breathe. Breathe into our sacred sanctuary. Breathe into the knowing of our truth. Breathe in and listen to the guidance of spirit. As long as you listen to your guidance, you will know what to do.
Mhm.
What I do may be different from what you are called to do. There is nothing too little or too big that does not have the opportunity or the possibility of impacting people. As Martin Luther King said, everyone can be great because everyone can serve. Everyone can be great because everyone can serve. You can serve in the community, you can serve in your church community, you can serve in the educational community, in the governmental community. There are so many ways, especially now when there are so many people who are hurting.
Right.
So listen to what is yours to do. What are your talents? What are your spiritual gifts? You don't have to go out, it's a wonderful thing that we have technology now in this way. You don't have to go out of your home in order to impact the world. But please listen within, and you will be guided to do what is yours to do.
Fantastic. That is absolutely perfect. In fact, the daily word for today, the word for today, I think, is service, isn't it? Yes, it's service. Yes. I find joy in service. So that was perfect. Thank you so much. Anyone else? We have a few more minutes.
Pamela, Ruth Berman wants to share.
Ruth, go ahead. Ruth.
Okay. I just put on the chat. Do you hear me?
Yes.
I feel very welcomed here, and I thank Craig for sending me the information, and I thank you, Reverend Hawkins, for your words. I'm in the midst of curing myself, hopefully, of the COVID, and so I'm not showing my face. But I just thought of this, and we have heard the words of Martin Luther King for so many years, and brought it into our hearts, our minds, and our actions. I think it's time that the Pledge of Allegiance that we use and say under God, that we change the words and use some of the words of Martin Luther King would make more sense and possibly make this country a little better place than it has shown it is. I thank you all. I bless you all. Stay well.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ruthie, and we wish you a speedy recovery. Take care. Thank you for those thoughts. Anyone else?
I
Barbara?
just want to share that if we just be present at the moment, present at the grocery store to really acknowledge someone or something. And I think being present at the moment, wherever we are and whatever we're doing, we'll be guided to share love in our own way.
Good point. Share wherever we can, absolutely. Let our little light or our big light shine, right? Thanks for those thoughts. Diana, go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you, Reverend Jackie, for your message. So I wrote down my pearls as well. I think I put them in the chat, but I needed this. I needed your message right now because I find myself just absorbed with all of the stuff going on and feeling so sad and confused. And, you know, what can I do? What can I do? And it was awesome to be reminded that, and I like what Barbara said about being in the moment, of taking even every little opportunity you have to share love and understanding. So not to get overwhelmed by the big picture, but to break it down to, you know, what are your gifts? You know, what can you do? And just manage that, and you're making a difference. So I really needed you to take me off of that mountain and bring me back to the surface where I can focus on even the little things I do are exhibiting God's expectation for love and concern for others. I thank you so very much, and I love you.
Very good, very good. Thank you, Diana. And Matt, go right ahead.
Hi, this is Matt. My camera on this laptop is not the best, so it's taped over. Sorry about that. So I'm one of Bonnie's sons. This has been great. I wanted to make a point about just the word unity. And, you know, it's obviously tied to Dr. King's legacy. I think the legacy of his organizing is really important and maybe goes overlooked, right? So the idea that people come together for a cause greater than themselves. I think that's part of my mom's legacy in this space too, bringing people together for a cause that is greater than any individual person. So as an add-on to what's been shared about people recognizing and reflecting in a self-interested way, I also would like to stress the importance of coming together as a whole. To me, that, you know, it sounds like that would be a central tenet of any successful endeavor, but especially in a world that is just frankly very oppressive and difficult to transcend individually. Coming together as a sum greater than any individual, I think is always, not only is it heartwarming, obviously, but it's impressive and it actually is successful. And I think Dr. King's legacy obviously proves that. I think the fact that this event is happening proves that too. So that's what's been on my mind. And I just appreciate everything that people have shared. This has been great. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Matt. Nice to hear your voice. We really appreciate it. And thanks for sharing again our love of your mom and this whole moment is just so precious, so warm for all of us. So we really appreciate you. And you know, while on that topic, thank you, Craig, for inviting all of your guests here. And also thank you, Reverend Jackie, for inviting your guests. We really, really welcome everyone warmly. Anyone else who'd like to say something? If I don't see any hands raised. And so what we will do right now is I'll turn it over to my dear friend, Barbara Walker, who will introduce the next part of the program.
Thank you, Pamela, and good afternoon to everyone. Good morning to the West Coast. The video that you're about to see is called Dream for One Bright World. And that title and the entire video, as when you see it, I think exemplifies the message of Dr. Martin Luther King. The singer is Cynthia Scott, and the song is from her CD of the same title. Ms. Scott once sang with the Raelettes, which is the backup group for Ray Charles. She now performs as a soloist, and she writes some of the music and lyrics that she performs. And words and music for Dream for One Bright World was written by Ms. Scott. If you enjoy this video that you're about to see, please click the like button at the bottom of your screen. And now I will Pamela will present One Bright World.
Very good. And Diane, I will give you permission to share the screen. And you now have permission to share.
There is a new day dawning, the time is now. The world is ready for a change. Can't you feel it in your heart? Don't you feel it in your soul? The time is now. Let's teach our children to care and to help one another and mend broken hearts. So many children in this world have never had a chance. Their time has come to share a dream, to share a dream for one bright world. Spin the dream, let's spin a dream for one bright world. So turn your eyes to see the service of life. It's in the palm of our hands. Can we shift from serving war to the brotherhood of the man? Oh, children of the world, your voices will be heard. Your chance to teach the elders and to help them understand. So let your voices be heard throughout the land with hope for peace. Can we all hold hands? 'Cause we are a rainbow of colors, shapes and creeds. And for those who would knock us down so they can stay up, only prove that they are weak. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
There's a new day dawning, the time is now. The world is ready for a change.
Can't you feel it in your heart? Don't you feel it in your soul? That the time is now. To share a dream, to share a dream for one bright world. Can we spin the dream? Let's spin a dream for one bright world. For one bright world. Oh, for one bright world. For one bright world. 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 Yes, for one bright world. One bright world in Asia. One bright world in Africa. One bright world in Australia.
Wow. That was so beautiful. Wow. Thank you for sharing that with us, Barbara. It's beautiful, just
And
perfect.
thank you, Pamela. And I had suggested that you like it. I was unable to like it. I don't know about anyone else, but the video is available on YouTube.
Right. I think you have to actually log into YouTube to like it. So when you have a moment, definitely do that. That was great. So before I hand things over to Reverend Taylor Stevens.
Can I just say
Go
one
ahead.
thing? For those of you who are going to join us on Monday, we're going to see another video by Cynthia, which I have to say is even better than this one.
Oh, wow.
If
Wait
you
to
can
see that.
believe that that's even possible. This one has tears in my eyes, but the other one is like tears streaming.
Really? Oh, that's great. So thank you so much for putting
Thank
that
you
out
for
there,
the
Diane.
honor, Diane.
Yeah, and in fact, that's a perfect segue because I was going to say to everyone on this in this Zoom session that this is our first of 3 celebratory events. We have our Sunday service tomorrow. Reverend Taylor will be delivering the talk for that. And then we will have civil rights music. We have special guest violinist who will also be joining our music director. So if you're local, please join us. If you are in California or somewhere else, you can certainly go to unitypalmbeach.com and watch our live stream at 11 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow. So we hope to see you there. And now it is my pleasure to turn it over, pleasure and honor, to Reverend Taylor Stevens to give us a few closing words and meditation.
Thank you, Pamela, and thank you, Reverend Hawkins, and thank you to our wonderful committee. Again, Pamela, Ahimsa, who could not be with us today, Saritha, Barbara, our executive director, Diane Bruce. I'm so appreciative, and I'm enormously appreciative and grateful that we began with a very, very, very well-deserved and heartfelt for me acknowledgement of Bonnie Glover, who was the chair of our committee for last year's Martin Luther King Day event. One little tiny detail of last year's observance was that Bonnie sent me 3 links to Amazon with 3 different shirts that she wanted me to get and then wear for the Martin Luther King events. And I just giggled so much because it was just so charmingly and wondrously Bonnie. So I'm only sharing that because I had the added joy of putting on one of my Bonnie shirts. So that felt so beautiful and so profound. I'm still, as I'm sure Craig, Matt, Ben are feeling much more than me, but I still miss Bonnie with every fiber of my being, and particularly on this weekend. She was such a glorious, complicated, wondrous, loving, compassionate woman, and just gave so much to the planet. So again, thanks to the committee. Thank you, Craig, for your opening prayer. Thank you, Reverend Hawkins. And the committee did ask if I would lead us in a little bit of silence, which is my primary practice. I think not all people, I'm certainly aware, I've been around Unity for 33 or 34 years now. Not everyone in Unity certainly is a silent meditator. That is my primary path. We're only going to spend a couple minutes in silence today. I truly do embrace for myself, as Reverend Hawkins said, let's pause and let's breathe. And I would just augment that slightly to say, let's pause, breathe, and be still. I believe it was Krishnamurti who said, if what you are about to say does not enhance the silence, remain still. I'm still trying to learn that lesson because I tend to have a lot to share. But but I'm going to cut that as short as I possibly can. But I do just want to highlight, if I might, that I'm going to speak rather cryptically, but I have a feeling that many of you will get what I'm saying. I had hoped that a certain piece of legislation would be passed as a birthday gift, perhaps, to not only Dr. King, but to our country and to our world. It's something that is very meaningful to me personally. I am not someone who separates my spirituality from my own values and political leanings, though I know that's often not popular. To me, it's very important. Those two things come together and support each other. So again, I had hoped that something was going to happen. That appears it will not happen yet. But as I believe, I think Diana was the one that shared, so we can despair or perhaps and we can come together. So I was very clear this morning in my morning practice that though I wish something had happened, a piece of legislation had happened and it has not, our coming together right now, we have 28 people. We had 35 at one point. For me, that is 35 individual fields of consciousness joined together to form what I would term a kind of super field of godness, that we join together in a deep knowing. As Reverend Hawkins said, there is one presence and there is one power. It is non-dualistic, but what we do with it is always a choice. And so this is a time, I believe, in human history where our unity principles, even if you're not framing that, whether you're an Ebenezer Baptist, whether you're in a Buddhist ashram, whether you're in wherever you may be spiritually, when we come together in a shared consciousness, there is presence and there is power. And so I thank you, committee. I thank each and every one of you who is on here, because I know that you are making a contribution to the upliftment of all human beings. And until all are equally free, there is no freedom. There is no freedom. So while I have watched during my lifetime, we've made great progress. We still have great progress to make. And I believe that that's what we're doing here this morning. So we're only going to take maybe, I'm going to set a timer for about 5 minutes. I'm going to mute myself. And I just invite you to just steep in that deep knowing, in the force of consciousness that is within all of us. Just feel the presence and the power that is within your heart. And let's know that that shared presence is a force for good. So I'm going to mute myself, set the timer, and we'll just steep together. When I started as senior minister almost 8 years ago at Unity of the Palm Beaches, I brought with me a noon, what I call a noon prayer. There are some words that we use to join together at noon in our Eastern time zone. Though it is 1 o'clock now in the Eastern time zone, one time zone away, it is noon. So whatever time we may share in this, I invite you to feel the energy behind the words. And it goes like this. There is one presence, one power, one wisdom, one creator. There is one God called by many names. It is all peace, all joy, all life, all light, all love. We feel this one presencing power. It is alive. It is active here and now. Whatever God is, I am. Wherever I am, God is. Because God is, I am. And so it is. Amen. Thank you all. Thank you, Pamela. I give it back to you.
Thank you very much, Reverend Taylor. I do believe we have a surprise guest, Miss Cynthia. We were in meditation when you joined us, but please feel free to speak up so we enjoyed the video that we saw a few minutes ago. So please go ahead. If you'd like to say something, please go ahead right now.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
Okay. I just want to say hello to everyone, and was an honor to share the music with you today. This was a different experience, but it was a good experience. I don't have very much to say. I did sing for Unity in New York City several times, and I've gone to the Unity Church here in Dallas, which is where I am today. I missed the timing because I thought it was a different timing. So hopefully I can catch it on repeat. But I hope that you enjoyed the song and that you received the message, because that is all what it is about, the message. I'm going to dedicate the rest of my life to something I learned as a child. And when we were taught to hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. And I want that to be a mission of mine, that everything that we hear, see, and speak should come from a positive sign of energy. And I think it's a way to teach the children, because I think that the messages that have been sent out for teaching have been so confusing, even for me growing up. So I think the journey for me is hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil, and everything that I do or present from an artistic standpoint will showcase that. So I thank you for sharing it. I thank you for inviting me, and I thank you for finding me. And
Thank
that we
you
were
very
able
much.
to work it out in this COVID pandemic, which is really has me quite confused as to what the next step should be. So the next song is Where Do We Go From Here? So thank you for sharing.
That will resonate.
Yes.
Thank you very much. We thoroughly enjoyed your music, and so happy that you've been able to join us in person. And so we thank you very much for that. And we will be playing another one of your songs on Monday, and we can't wait for that as well.
All righty. Is there a way that is a repeat that you can see it later?
Yeah, we're recording this program, so you will be able to get the recording. I'll send out the recording shortly after.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Cynthia.
Excuse me, Cynthia, before you leave, it is important for me to tell how I first met you. There's a renaissance going on in Harlem, and their jazz clubs were popping up. And I don't know if that's still happening today with COVID, but like a renaissance. And there was one club, I believe it's called Smoke.
Yeah.
And so we go to take a friend out to birthday. Well, in most jazz clubs, as the singer, there's a little chatter going on and whatnot. But she stepped up and she sang, and everything went quiet. And she was not singing her songs, but she was dedicated to other great singers, some women. I believe Louis Armstrong was involved. But I purchased her CD. Well, first, we had a conversation. She was very approachable and gave us her telephone number. And I purchased 2 CDs. And one is the one that of the 2 videos that we are doing today. And I went home and I kept them for a while, but when I played those CDs and heard the dedication to Dr. King, The One Bright World, and she has others on there that are just fantastic. But she was so approachable, and I see that you're still just as approachable, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. It was a wonderful. Thank you very much, Barbara, for bringing Cynthia to us. Very good. Well, I think this is a wrap. And I want to thank everyone for joining us. This was a fabulous program. Thank you, Thank you, Reverend Hawkins, for gracing us with your wonderful comments. And you gave us a lot of, I took a lot of notes. You gave us a lot to think about. And Craig, for that wonderful, heartfelt opening prayer. That was very, very touching. And we really, really enjoyed that. And Matt, for your comments as well. And thank you all for attending. I think I am going to close it unless anyone has any final comments with saying this is a wonderful way to start this weekend of celebration of the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
I
Enjoy,
believe that,
everyone.
Pamela, I believe that Saritha is going to just touch on the link that I just put in the chat of things you can do this afternoon.
Oh, okay. Well, Saritha, I turn it over to you.
Okay, just briefly, because you've said everything pretty much. It's wonderful. This, again, was a beautiful, beautiful way to honor Bonnie, first off, because I truly believe this wouldn't be happening without her. And then to honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So in addition to what Pamela was saying, there are some links for musical selections, videos, and suggested movies on the Unity website, unitypalmbeach.com, just in case you're interested to further enhance your experience in this celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So thank you all. Thank everybody for being here.
Perfect.
I have truly enjoyed it.
Glad to hear it. Thanks, everybody. Do I see any more hands up? No, I think we're good. Have a wonderful day, great weekend, and stay safe. Goodbye.